Okay, if you've ever found yourself standing in a pharmacy aisle or just scrolling online, you know the world of teeth whitening is, well, it's kind of overwhelming, right? There's so many products, and they all promise you this perfect, dazzling smile. So, how do you know what's real and what's just clever marketing? That's what we're going to figure out. We're breaking down the science to get to the truth.
Oh, yeah, you've seen them all. The whitening strips, the charcoal powders that get everywhere, those super futuristic-looking LED kits you can plug into your phone. But here's the bottom line. Do any of them really work? And maybe even more important than that, are they safe? We're about to get to the bottom of both of those questions. All right, so before we even get into how to whiten teeth, we've got to understand what we're actually up against. I mean, why do our teeth change color in the first place? It turns out it's a little more complicated than you might think.
Really, you're fighting a battle on two fronts. First, you've got the usual suspects, right? The external stains from things like coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking. But here's where it gets interesting. There are also internal factors. Over time, our white protective enamel can get thinner, and that lets the more yellowish layer underneath, which is called dentin, show through. Plus, things like a fall or certain medications can actually stain a tooth from the inside out. So now that we know the enemy, how do we fight back against all this discoloration? Well, it all comes down to some pretty cool chemistry. Let's dive into the science of what's actually happening when a product whitens your teeth. See, at its core, real teeth whitening isn't about scrubbing off surface stains, though, that helps. It's an actual chemical reaction. The active ingredients have to go deeper than the surface to change the tooth's natural underlying color, literally making your enamel a lighter shade. And these are the heavy hitters that do all the work. You're almost always going to see one of two key ingredients, hydrogen peroxide or carbamide peroxide, which, fun fact, actually breaks down into hydrogen peroxide anyway. They're basically bleaching agents. They release tiny oxygen molecules that get into your enamel and break apart the bonds that hold stains together. Now here's the key. The entire game, both how well it works and how safe it is, all comes down to the concentration of these ingredients. And that brings us to the main event, the big question. What is the real difference between grabbing a kit at the store versus getting a professional treatment from your dentist? They might be using similar chemicals, but trust me, the approach and the results are worlds apart. So here's the breakdown. At-home kits have to use weaker gels, and they usually come with these one-size-fits-all trays. That can lead to splotchy results or really irritated gums. A professional treatment, on the other hand, uses a much stronger, way more effective gel, but it's applied with total precision. And the secret weapon? Those custom-made trays that fit your teeth perfectly. They keep that powerful gel exactly where it needs to be and, just as importantly, off your sensitive gums. And having a professional watching over the whole thing, that's everything. It's the difference between a controlled, safe application and, just kind of winging it at home and hoping for the best. That professional safety net is what allows dentists to use the more powerful and, frankly, more effective whitening gels. So what about all those whitening toothpastes? Where do they fit in? Well, they definitely have a role, but it's a smaller one. Think of them more as maintenance. They're great for polishing away light, new surface stains, but they aren't going to dramatically change the deep-down core color of your teeth. But look, it's not all just about getting a brighter smile. We absolutely have to talk about the risks. This is the fine print, the stuff that gets buried in the ads, and it is crucial to know. The first big risk? Chemical burns. Yeah, it sounds harsh, because it can be. If that powerful whitening gel, especially from a tray that doesn't fit right, gets on your soft tissues, like your gums, lips, or tongue, it can cause some pretty painful burns and even ulcers. And the other one you hear about all the time is sensitivity. A lot of people feel a little bit of it after whitening, but for some, it can be really, really severe. I'm talking about pain so sharp that just breathing in cold air feels awful. A dentist can actually help you manage and prevent this before you even start. Okay. This is a huge question we hear constantly. If you've got fillings or maybe a crown or veneers, you're probably wondering, hey, can I whiten those too? And the answer to that is a very clear and simple nope. Whitening gels only work on natural tooth enamel. That's it. Any dental work you have is made of different materials, and it will not change color one bit. This is super important because if you're not careful, you could end up with a really uneven, mismatched smile.
It's also really important to know who should probably just skip whitening altogether. Right now, it's not recommended for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. And the reason is simple. It's not that we have proof it's dangerous, it's that we have zero proof that it's 100% safe for a developing baby. So when there's no clear answer, dental experts all agree, take the safest route, err on the side of caution, and just wait.
All right, so we've been through the science, the different methods, the risks. What's the final verdict here? What's the best way to get that bright smile you want, but do it safely?
When you put all the pieces together, the conclusion is pretty clear. The Australian Dental Association says it perfectly. It is best to have your teeth whitening done under the supervision of a dentist. And that's because they're the only ones who can really check out your teeth, manage all the risks, and create a custom plan that's actually going to work for you without hurting your health.
Because ultimately, this is what it's all about. The real goal isn't just a whiter smile, it's a healthy one. And making an informed choice by talking with a professional is hands down the best way to get there. And hey, whether you decide to whiten or not, here are 3 things you can start doing right now to help protect your smile. Number 1, good daily hygiene. That's non-negotiable. Number 2, not smoking. That's a huge one for so many reasons. And number 3, here's a great little pro tip. Just swish your mouth with plain water right after you have coffee or red wine. It makes a huge difference in rinsing away those stains before they can set in. So in the end, the question isn't really just, how do I get whiter teeth? It's, what's the right first step for my smile? Now that you've got the facts, maybe that first step isn't buying a kit online. Maybe it's just having a conversation with your dentist. Because after all, your smile is completely unique to you, and the best way to care for it should be